All right, happy Monday, everybody. Now you're probably wondering why this doesn't look like my studio at all behind me. It's because it's not. There's actually a snow day here in Nashville. In the South, let me tell you something, when it snows, the world shuts down, but not the show. We are bringing it to you here from my home, as I said. It's also MLK Day, so let's check in on Black America. How are things going since the time of MLK Jr.? Also, guys, somebody toss me the Elmo gif. Yeah, that was what happened this weekend when Trump came for Vivek Ramaswamy. And then I was trending all weekend and the world's burning down. You're in with MAGA or you're out with MAGA. We're definitely going to talk about that. And of course, don't forget, it's Iowa Caucus Day. All that coming up on Candace Owens. You know what I think? I think after a lot of years, Black America is coming around to Candace Owens. I see the posts, people finally starting to listen a little bit to what I have been saying. They thought that I was so against them when I was just trying to expose the fact that Democrats were getting bored with Black America and we're going to eventually import tons of illegals to replace Black Americans. Essentially, our vote wasn't going to matter anymore. I can't even state how many times I said this on the road, and I was met with roars boos from Black America that were so seized by the BLM narrative that they didn't realize what was happening. Well, now Biden is president. Of course, they are flooding millions of illegals into America, dropping them off in inner cities, and Black Americans seem to suddenly be waking up. Take a listen to what this Chicago resident had to say in a press conference.
Politically, having over 500 people in our community would completely wipe out any interest we have. Are you aware that there are immigrant advocates at state houses all over this country who are advocating for non-citizen voting in local elections? What if that happened here? That would change the mindset of what we as a Black community need to thrive here in Chicago. That's a concern of ours. This is much bigger than the mayor of Chicago or Chicago Police Department. This is an effort to destroy our neighborhoods and silence our voices even further.
Man, that's a lot of words to say. I'm sorry, Candace Owens, that we haven't been listening for the last 8 years as we've castigated you and tons of other Black American conservatives that have been pointing out this predicament. Now, it remains to be seen whether or not it is simply too late. As I said, they are ushering in millions and millions of illegal aliens. And of course, the Black America is going to be the first part of America to be impacted by this. They're obviously going to give these illegals welfare, because welfarism was always the name of the game. Get Black Americans addicted to small handouts, break down their families, and essentially marry them to the government. And whose idea was this? Well, we can't blame it on a ton of people, but we can at least look at life in America for Black Americans before the civil rights protests and Lyndon Baines Johnson and the Great Society Act. Let's actually look back to 1930s. Harlem, obviously. It has always been a historically Black neighborhood in New York City. I'm going to show you images of Black America. Again, this is when there was racial segregation. Take a look. So what we are seeing here, again, this is the 1930s in Harlem, is a certain decorum. Civilized. That's the only word that I would use to describe what we are seeing. Black Americans dressed to the nines. Who knows where they're going? Probably to work. Of course, during this time, Black American families were together. You see police officers on the street, but it doesn't really seem like they have much to be doing because, as I said, these Black Americans have a certain decorum to them. The gentlemen are wearing hats and suits. The ladies are wearing dresses and heels, also wearing hats. This is not a place that I would be fearful to travel alone, whether it was daytime or nighttime. My, how time has changed. We know that simply is not the circumstance in Black America today. We know that if you went into a Black neighborhood in an inner city, you would see things very differently. We also know that bizarrely there's a sense of entitlement when it comes to Black America. At the very same time that we are insisting upon this victim narrative, which has been taught to us by Black Lives Matter, diversity, equity, inclusion departments. Oh, Black America, nothing is ever your fault. The reality, we hold a lot of power in this country. All we have to do is throw out the accusation of racism. People are fearful to tell us that what we are doing is wrong because, again, they will just be labeled as racist. And who wants that? Especially if you're a white American. I was absolutely shocked by what I saw of this clip that took place in an airport somewhere recently here in America. This is a Black man rapping because there are no rules, apparently, if you're a Black American and you are in an airport. Take a look.
Bro, told me to save her. No, mommy, you better off saving yourself. I was just stuck in the hood and breaking the crib. Fans, I got the whole city lit. I got the whole city lit. No, I'm the next one to get rich. No, I'm the next one to get rich. This thought I was falling in love. Ha ha ha, I'm leaving you. Get out of your feelings, let's get it together. As soon as we get it, we taking a trip. I think I'm jealous. Soon as she like another I'm ready to dip. Get in the stomach. Still kind of mad, but I gotta be honest with you on the trip. Somebody save me. I'm going crazy. Pop me a purpose at 30. I need a Lambo. I need a Rari. I need a Bentley.
Now, does that young man look like he's suffering from racism in America? Does he look particularly fearful that there are white people around him, that they're going to do something to him? Nope. As I said, what we are suffering from actually in this country is extreme entitlement. So Black America and all of America, if you are willing to listen to what I have been saying, because an element of this, of course, is people that are suffering from white guilt and a fear of being called racist. And the people that are sitting around there not saying anything. I would have said something so quickly. As you guys know, I am constantly talking to people about their inappropriate behavior in airports. And of course, it's not just Black Americans. It's also white Americans, as we've covered on this show. But what Black America is actually suffering from, how we got here, is because of extreme welfarism, which brings me to Martin Luther King Jr., who believed in the radical redistribution of wealth. Yes, an element of Marxism in which he supported. We'll just take money from people and redistribute it. And an era was born. Lyndon Baines Johnson, an avowed racist that sat in the White House, said, what about the Great Society Act? What about if the government incentivized you to behave poorly so that you could never get ahead in life? And here's the truth. And I really want you to listen here. Don't be offended because it is a fact. Black Americans were outpacing white Americans in this country in terms of economic growth before the dissolution of Jim Crow policies. Why? Because our families were together. Again, I want you to picture what you just saw on the streets of Harlem. And then after the government got involved and after they insisted on welfare policies and the radical redistribution of wealth, everything came down. The government knew what they were doing. It was Machiavellian. They knew that if they married Black Americans to government and they incentivized poor behavior, the behavior that you just watched in the airport, I will be willing to bet anything that that individual, who I don't know his name or his background, grew up without a father in the home. The systemic breakdown of family. It began with that. What's happened since? Well, it's what LBJ predicted when he said that he would have those N-words voting Democrat for the next 60 years. That is the predicament that we are in. So should we be celebrating MLK? Should we be celebrating him and his vision for the country? Outside, of course, of some things that he said, which we know were obviously great, right? Obviously, it's a good idea to say that we should be judging people not on the basis of their skin color, but on the basis of their character. That speaks to a meritocracy, and that flies in the face of demanding a radical distribution of wealth. That doesn't make any sense. But outside of that, outside of the fluffy words and his I have a dream speech, what are the actual consequences of welfarism? You're looking at them. Now, I appreciate that Black Americans are waking up. And as I said at the beginning of this, I don't know if it's too late. It will remain to be seen. So in conclusion, here is what I will say. Everybody has a day off, right? I mean, not only because it's a snow day, but because MLK Jr. is now a federal holiday. And maybe what we should be doing as families is spending this day in reflection. Have we actually built a better America? Do the government want it to be a better America? What will America look like now that we do have this influx of illegal immigrants? And they are essentially saying, what we did to Black America, yeah, let's try it on this new population. Let's also marry them to governance and get them voting for us, presumably for the next 200 years. And that's all I have to say about that.
2024 is going to be a wild ride. You're already seeing the impacts of inflation at the gas pump and the grocery store. The dollar is losing its buying power faster than wages can increase. So let me ask you, how are you protecting your savings? Consider diversifying with gold from Birch Gold Group. For decades, gold has been the choice of investors and central banks to hedge against inflation. Birch Gold can help you create a well-thought-out and balanced investment strategy. They'll help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into an IRA backed in gold without paying a penny out of pocket. Just text Candace to 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, thousands of satisfied customers, and as the exclusive gold company of the Daily Wire for the past 7 years, you can trust Birch Gold too. Text Candace to 989898 to claim your free info kit. That's Candace to 989898 and secure your savings now.
Okay, now it's time for some topics du jour. It's going down, guys. Give me another appropriate meme. Yeah, guys, a little bit of drama heating up. Vivek Ramaswamy versus Donald J. Trump. I don't think any of us really saw this coming. So let's just kind of reflect on what actually went down. What triggered Trump to issue I wouldn't say blistering attack, but an attack for sure on Vivek Ramaswamy? Well, Vivek posted this picture of him and some of his supporters wearing a particular t-shirt that Trump didn't like. So as you can see, the t-shirt features Trump's viral mugshot, and it also bears the words, "Save Trump, vote Vivek." And yes, as I said, that rubbed Trump the wrong way. Now, to be clear, Vivek has been talking about this on the campaign trail for some time. Obviously, Vivek is running against Donald Trump. And the reason that he is running is because he believes that conservatives are walking into a trap right now. And there are some aspects of this that I very much agree with. He's pointing out the fact that there is no way that the left does not have a plan to make sure that Trump does not go into the White House. We just lived through January 6th. And for those of us that have been saying that obviously that was a deep state event, then you realize that there is nowhere that they won't go in order to get Trump off of the ballot, which is what they are now doing in some states. Vivek has been obviously supportive of Trump and everything that is happening to him legally. He has said that he will remove himself from any states. He would remove himself from the ballot within any states that were just going to neglect to put Trump on the ballot. And that has been, I think, tremendous. He's been, again, unbelievably supportive of Donald Trump. He has said that he is the greatest president of his lifetime, and he believes that Donald Trump has been a part of a mass awakening, myself included. These are things that are abundantly obvious. Now, Vivek has also stated that he believes their intention is to make sure that Trump in some capacity can't run. Maybe it's going to be another pandemic. Again, something that they did in utter desperation that we could have never foreseen happening, but it impacted votes. And he thinks it's going to be a two-horse race. He thinks what they're trying to do is to make it between Nikki Haley, who is very clearly their favored candidate. Every single poll is pretending that she's experiencing the surge, and yet I can't find a Nikki Haley supporter. Every time people conduct mini polls on Twitter, Nikki Haley is always last picked, behind Vivek Ramaswamy, behind Ron DeSantis, behind Trump. But apparently, according to the mainstream media narrative, she is surging. Everybody loves Nikki Haley. Everybody loves the idea of going to war forever. That's what we want. We want the military industrial complex. We want to keep waking up in the morning and going to work so that our government can spend it overseas fighting never-ending conflicts and ones that we keep losing. That's even better. If we can all get up in the morning and go to work and have our tax dollars sent overseas to lose, give me Afghanistan, give me Iraq, give me Ukraine, that would be great. I know that's what everybody at home wants to do. And so Trump did not particularly like this t-shirt. He does not believe in this theory. I guess they think that maybe they are recognizing that the left has some plan, but maybe they're thinking that they can't do it twice. I don't put anything past the left. Here's what Trump wrote about Vivek Ramaswamy on Truth Social. Vivek started his campaign as a great supporter, quote unquote, the best president in generations, etc. Unfortunately, now all he does is disguise his support in the form of deceitful campaign tricks. Very sly, but a vote for Vivek is a vote for the quote unquote other side. Don't get duped by this. Vote for Trump. Don't waste your vote.